you know what's happened.
Oh, he's doing it, guys. I don't think
yeah.
You're now streaming live.
Yes.
Yay.
I have no idea why.
Oh. Well, let's just go say welcome everyone in Facebook land. We had a little bit of technical difficulty, so we are starting about 7:30 instead of 7. So hope you don't mind. Oh, Pacific time anyway. Sorry.
Right. I'm going to blame the new Facebook because I've seen screens tonight that I have never seen before in my entire life on this.
And Canadian shock.
Right. And I just used it Wednesday. So it's been a challenge to say the least, but we are here. Yay.
Yes. So good. So good to see you, Wendy. I have not been on Mystic Moon Cafe for the last month because I have been moving to a new place. And let's just say every single night after work, I've had to do a lot of stuff, and anybody that's ever moved before knows what I'm talking about. So it's really good to be back, even though it's not our regular night. It's good to be back on this Friday night. I have to keep telling myself that because in my head right now I'm thinking it's Wednesday night and I have to go back to work tomorrow.
Friday.
So
all day.
It's Friday, please.
At least for a few more hours.
Well, with COVID anyway, because I've been working from home, it's been really difficult for me to keep track of the days. And it's a little scary. I'm like, did I remember my medication? And what day is it today? Oh my goodness. So, it's just one of those wonderful things. But anyway.
Yes.
Well, visiting us from Vancouver, British Columbia, and I have to make sure I say Vancouver, British Columbia, because as people down here in the States, sometimes we'll just say Vancouver, Canada, and Canadians get a little irritated because some Canadians do get a little irritated, and I understand that. So,
and you also have a Vancouver, so that's good.
Yes,
that out too, right?
Exactly. So, visiting us from Vancouver, British Columbia, we have members of Cornerstone Supernatural with us tonight, Paul and Janine.
Hey,
welcome, guys. So, I was going to say, just to start off, why don't you just tell us about you and yourselves, and then you can tell us a little bit about Cornerstone.
Wow. I'll let you go.
Go ahead.
Okay. Why don't I do the reverse way? I'm going to tell you a little about Cornerstone. I mean, we have an investigation team within the lower mainland of Vancouver, British Columbia, of 14 investigators. And some think that's a little bit large, but we made it so that everybody has an opportunity to come out and do an investigation. Everybody can't come out on a Friday or Saturday night. People have jobs, they work, they move, they have kids, things like that. So we wanted to make sure that everybody within the group was able to have that opportunity. So we tried to schedule things in different times. Obviously, the locations we go into, you got to go by their timing. So sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't, but that's one of the things we wanted to do. We've got a wide range of different talents or gifts within the group, from people that have just been doing it for a couple, 3 years, to one investigator that's been doing it for over 40 years. So we're fortunate.
So that investigator actually started when they were a baby?
Yeah, pretty much.
I just thought I'd bring that up.
That's what we're going to say.
That's our story in respect to it. We all came together from different teams. Either there was drama within another team, or there was the way they were investigating, or something that they didn't like, conflict of interest. And we just came together as a team, and that really, it just happened in April of last year. But since that time, and as you can see, we've with our Facebook page, we started out small. We're almost to 2,250 members.
Yeah, I see you've really been pushing that Facebook page. You've really been
around
pushing
the world,
a lot,
which is really cool because you can get different stories from different individuals. We try to align with different groups, teams worldwide, because then you can, they have similar values or similar goals that you have. And I think that's really important for us as a whole. We believe in para-unity, but there's some people out there that just don't really like that too much or want to do something different. And so we try to make sure it's a safe place and everything else like that. Janine?
Yeah, so it's a fun group. We're a little bit different that some groups don't like mediums. We have mediums in our group and we're quite comfortable with them. We also are a little bit unique that we do invite the clients to come with us if they so desire. It's not kind of the type where you say, okay, we're going to go and investigate and we're going to show you later what we found. It's like, if you want to come along and experience it, you're welcome to do that. And that makes them have a little bit of ownership in what's going on that night and see for themselves. And they can tell if we heard something or we thought we saw something, they were there to validate it or dismiss it or whatever they choose.
It gives them the opportunity to have some ownership in what we're doing. And I think that's really important. Like Janine says, it's not just, oh, here, we found this.
Right.
And there's the wash with TV and things like that to get the opportunity. Don't get me wrong. We watch all the channels as much as possible because we kind of want to see what type of new gear they've got.
Yeah. That's
And
like
say,
the best thing
what
about
are we
those
buying
shows.
next?
Would that work?
Yeah.
In our situation.
Yeah, I really can't say anything good about most of the shows out there, but one of the things I do love to see is what's the newest piece of equipment that they're using, because it's like, oh, I wonder if we can get that. And Jake, of course, Jake is not here tonight. He he is our technical our tech manager in a ghost. I'm with the Advanced Ghost Hunters of Seattle, Tacoma, and he is any new gear or anything he sees, he is right on it. He's amazing with the.
Well, you can spend, tens of thousands of dollars on equipment if you. At least, well, we try not to, but we've got.
We don't want to, but we.
Well, we've got different individuals in the group, which is cool because somebody will have a piece of equipment that you don't have. And so if you go out on an investigation together, then you can, hey, go in this and use that, and we'll go over here and use this. Or if we're going to a place that they're not going to, here, borrow it, go in and use it, sort of thing. So that's kind of important. We because we don't all have unlimited resources in our bank accounts. So and some of the
nor should you have to.
No.
No.
And then some people, I mean, it's like exactly, got to have the newest, got to have the boldest, and everything else like that, without even seeing what it really does in the field. Get a little research about it first to make sure it's really does what it says.
Yes.
And do it that way, not just
a lot of trial and errors when you do just get it.
Absolutely. It's just like, SLS. I mean, we've got 5 of them in the group now. And sometimes you'll, like, at the very beginning, you're like, oh my God, I got this, right? And you're so excited about it, and then you realize it's a coat rack.
Right. It's very unpredictable.
It's
very unpredictable.
I mean,
it's still a lot of fun, but it's unpredictable. You're right.
It's getting that to interact with you. I think that's on that piece of equipment. I think that's the biggest thing.
What are you saying, Miss Wendy?
SLS, is that different from an SLR or
yes. So
camera?
the SLS is the structured light sensor.
It's the from the Kinect camera.
Yes.
You see with the little stick figures that dance around.
There's two versions. There's 2 versions. We happen to have the Kinect version ourselves, but we have members that have the other Bill Chappell's version as well. So they're a little bit different.
Yeah.
But basically the same concept.
Okay.
So that, I mean, then that tends to be one of the leading pieces of tech that's out there now.
Yeah, and unfortunately, it's kind of a controversial piece of equipment because there's so many people that are against it because they think it's too unpredictable. And the whole design of that is to find a human shape. So
Right.
it will try to go out of its way. If it sees a chair, if it sees something else that is even slightly
Correct.
in the form of a human shape, it will try to get it. But there are some times when it will all of a sudden be in a place where there's no shapes, and all of a sudden you see like this little figure, or you see the gray tone or something, however it's set up.
Yeah.
And when you get that figure to actually respond to you,
Mhm.
then it puts it in a whole new
Exactly.
category,
Yeah. So,
right? Yeah.
so I think,
Okay.
it's good for experiments. I think it's really good just to see, because you never know.
Yeah, we were at a location that we go to on a regular basis. It's basically all that's left of a penitentiary, and they were doing some reconstruction up in the second level. Nothing in there that would that it could, the SLS would
Not
say
even a
that
table.
it's something that that's something that's not there. And it was a really good experience for us there because Janine was doing her thing and it was reacting to questions like,
Well, it had while we were, pops up on the screen. It's like a little stick figure. If any of your viewers, haven't seen it before, it looks like a little skeleton. And I noticed that its back leg was really like firm like this. The one leg was bent, moving around. The one was like this. And I said, "Is there something wrong with your back leg?" And up until that point, it had been very stiff. And as soon as I said that, it started to move it around. And then one of our other investigators at the time had said, "Can you knock on the wall?" And the hand went up and went like this. So that's an entirely different experience with that particular piece of equipment because it reacted to commands that we were asking of it. So it was
Interesting.
but I mean, again, everybody has different opinions about different
Right.
pieces of equipment, and I totally respect that. It's just like people talking about apps on their phones and things like that. Some people actually get some really good information from it. Other people,
I'm not a big fan,
Yeah.
but that's just me.
so, but I'm not going to, if someone's having a unique experience with it or anything like that, especially if they're just starting out or anything, by all means.
The trouble though with some of the apps, is a lot of them have voice recognition, they have GPS, they have a lot of other things built into it. So even if it knows you're at kind of a haunted location or something like this, it's going to like automatically throw words in like demon.
Always
or
demon.
Always
Demon.
We were in a church and for sure it came out demon. I'm like, are you kidding me?
It's not a demon. I'm like, it's not a demon.
But see, I'm not saying with all of them, but that's
No.
one thing that
But
a lot of newbies, it's like if they are relying on the apps, don't rely too much on the apps because
and don't really rely on something that's downloadable and it's free.
Exactly.
That should give you another.
Yeah.
I'm like a Ghost Center because I've got an application and it was free.
Yeah. Yes.
Although we have had people on our team that seem to have success with it. So maybe it's just me. Maybe it's just my perception.
Well, sometimes I wonder if spirits talk through, we don't use the ghost box on our investigations at all because we think it's too suggestive. But if you are just running the white noise without the channels and you get a voice through there, or you get a whole sentence, or things like that, that's a whole other story. But, it's like a lot of people, it's whatever works for them.
Well, we're extremely fortunate, and I don't know if you know of him or not, but because he's on an ITC specialist, Ghost Boss, and Bill Hauser. And if you haven't, if you don't know him, by all means check him out on some of his videos and that.
Yeah.
He does some absolute phenomenal stuff with the Ghost Box. And if we're going into a larger location, I will not even hesitate, give him a shout and say, come on down. And he's really good. And he's followed it from its beginnings to where it is now. So he's got it so it's not all that. I mean, it's actually, you can hear things coming through. What's your opinion regarding the Estes method?
Well, we actually have tried that several times. We have not had any really good success, but we have had some interesting things, with it. If you're not familiar with the Estes method, Wendy,
My apologies.
No, that's okay.
I know,
That
but
is
let's explain
okay
it for
for everybody else that does. Yes. Jake, we decided to perform in several different locations. We decided to, just kind of try this and see, what kind of results we got. There was one time that we kind of got some very interesting things. I think it was the one time we were at the old Thornwood Castle, and we also got an EVP through that too, and we heard little footsteps running around, which is really interesting since a lot of people have said they've seen a ghost of a child over in that area. That's very cool. And it sounds like like a little kid running. And it's really, and there were no little kids with us anywhere close to where we were. But just the method it's very interesting. But what we did was, what I did was just have the white noise in my earphones and not the radio stations going. And just to kind of see if I picked up anything. And there were several times that, we kind of got, it sounded like voices, and it was very interesing. So
Wendy, did you want us to explain what that method is? Or?
Oh yes, sorry. Yes, I got sidetracked.
For those who don't know at all.
I mean, you probably got the best.
Yeah. So I think a lot of your viewers have probably seen the Ghost Box on TV. And so what they've done is it's tried to isolate it a little bit more to avoid some of the cross contamination. So you'll have one person away asking questions and the other person has noise canceling headphones and a blindfold or is removed from that scenario, so that the one person asks the questions and the other person has no idea what question is being asked and hopes to gather the information through what's coming through the headset. Basically, it's kind of like a blind test of it all.
Which is very cool if it works, because that would really prove that there is something coming through, because you're not going to be influenced at all by, by anything else. And
by the question or the.
Yeah.
See, one of the things we do is especially with all of our evidence, is we share it within the team. And what I might hear is different than what Janine hears. That's different than what Glenn hears. It's different than Jude. I mean, it's all, it might be, to me, I'm like, wow, that's a word, and it says castle. And then somebody else, no, that says something else, and never says, no, it's just something. It's not even a word. It's not really. So we'll bounce that off of each other without being negative, or, more constructive than anything else. And just not force your opinion on somebody else that says, no, it's got to be this.
Yeah.
And do it that way. And I think that makes, regardless of whoever does it, or if you're just starting out, it's really important just to keep an open mind about things. And also, if you're going into a team, make sure that team is able to adjust to what you feel. And encourage you to talk about things and ask the questions, and just not be somebody that's off in the corner, going live, listening with headphones in a digital recorder. At least being part of that community as a team, or even if you're a couple people just going out and just trying stuff for the first time. I think that it's really, and to be positive. I think that's another thing, is the amount of people that you've got in your group, regardless. I've said this, that if you go into a meeting and there's 6 of you going into a meeting, and 5 of you had your proper cup of coffee and the 6th one did not, that meeting goes on forever. Same situation. Everybody, the 6 people have all had a bagel and a cup of coffee. They go into it. It's really not a meeting. So I think it's all about attitude and positivity when with whatever you're doing, but especially when you're doing an investigation or trying to compile some evidence. I think spirits, entities, energy, whatever you want to call it, they feed off of that. So if you're, hell, I've had a really bad day, then hell, you're going to have a really bad night. You know?
Probably.
It just happens. So, and if you're, energetic, or you've got having a little bit of fun within the team, well, guess what? You're going to get that in return.
Yeah.
At least in our experiences. And I think that's so important, especially for people that are just starting out and trying this. They don't know.
Yeah, that's why we have such an awesome team, and everybody has such a really good attitude. It's really makes a big difference.
For sure.
You have somebody like that's or if you have somebody coming in that's like, but thank God we don't have that.
And you're probably got the same thing, but I mean, to me, it's not just a team. They're family.
You drag them down.
They're actually family, so that we,
exactly.
They're more family than our own family. You know what I mean? And so it's
yes, they do.
It's you can tell them things that you won't tell anybody else.
That's pretty cool.
It's true. It's true.
Well, one thing you kind of brushed over it a little bit, but I was just wondering, why don't you talk about yourself and how did you get into the paranormal? How did you, what kind of led you to that?
Everybody's got to have a hobby. So.
That's true.
Oh my.
So in my perspective, I did experience a lot of things in my life that are out of the norm. But hey, we're dissing TV shows a bit back there, but I'm telling you, first of all, I have to disclose I worked in television for 20 years, so I have a different view of the whole scenario. But I think that those shows opened up a whole field of possibility.
They definitely
for some
did.
of us who didn't quite know how to explore what we were seeing or hearing or doing. Maybe you don't agree with their "it's a demon" philosophy all the time. I guess you know what I'm talking about.
Yes, I do.
But on the other hand, it's kind of neat to watch when you're like, hey, I didn't know you could do that, and it sort of is inspiring in some aspects, right? Television itself, it's when you're on an investigation that sometimes you're sitting in a room. Well, you're usually sitting in a room and nothing happens. So yes, there is some play upon making things happen because above all, they're an entertaining show. They have to appeal to an audience and they have to make money. So everybody needs to take that with a grain of salt.
So people sitting there watching a real paranormal investigation would just fall asleep.
They'd be so bored, right? Because I know from my personal experiences that half the time they'll go, how was it? I go, I got nothing. But it isn't until afterwards when you start listening.
And you're like, holy crap.
The audience like, I really did get something.
Somebody was talking to me the whole time.
But it's like paint drying while you're there. It's like, oh, right. But yeah, so it's totally a surprise when you do get a hit. It's really kind of exciting, for sure.
For me, it was, I think the first was my father. I mean, seeing him after he passed and seeing him my father was a painter and decorator. So that was his life. I mean, it was part of my life because as soon as I could hold a paintbrush, I was with him. These coveralls on and everything else like that.
Wow. That's nice.
Really got involved with it after I moved out to, that was in Saskatchewan. And for those in that don't know, that's right in the middle of Canada.
Wow.
But I came out when I came out to Vancouver and met Janine. It was sort of something that was unique about the paranormal experience. She had also had some experiences. You should tell them about Niagara Falls.
Okay, so it was a while ago because I was in my 20s with going up to Niagara Falls. I lived in Ontario at the time with a couple of girlfriends. Well, they were actually 3 sisters. And so we get there and it's never happened to me again. but that day time fragmented for me. It went like this. And this voice, angel started going, said to me, step off the curb, push the girls back. You're going to get hit by a car, but you will be all right. And I lost control of my life at that point. I'm like, okay. And so I step off the curb. I go like this. This car comes around the corner, hits me. I put like they're out of the way. It hits me. I fall back. I bruise my tailbone. That's it. Or they would have got totally hit had they come around the corner.
Wow.
So I don't know. It's never happened again since. But I don't really believe that it was attached to me per se. I think it was attached to them. But for whatever reason, it sort of channeled through me. So that was quite an eye-opening experience for me, for sure.
Wow.
Right?
That's incredible.
Yeah, it was crazy.
So that's, and then we just, well, like I said, we had been part of some different teams until we started our own. Yep. And c'est la vie. That's how we got really hooked into it. And I think that, again, within the team, within the group, we're always pushing each other for different things. And if we get a new site or a new location, and none of us have been there before, then that's like a jewel. It's sort of like, oh my goodness, what's this going to be? And it's not, a lot of people think that if you go to a location, it's got to have ghosts. It's actually got to have ghosts. It's got to have the stories. It's got to have everything. Well, yes, it can. But I'm not a believer in the fact that every location is haunted. I think that there is places, and we have found them, there's places and locations out there where we've gone on. There's never been a hint of history. There's never been a hint of any paranormal activity whatsoever. And we've gone in there and caught some of the most best evidence we've ever had.
True.
And so that, I think, is pretty cool.
It's all about the moment, and you really can't control the moment, right? Sometimes they want to appear and sometimes they don't. We
were at a historical location we walked into, and in the basement areas where kids used to play, right? There was a dirt floor and everything else like that. And we set up all the equipment. And I'll let you take it from
Everything
here.
was going off. The K2s were going off. The REM pod was going off. We're measuring. We're not getting any hits from any electrical, EMFs coming through from any source that we could determine. But it was just really loud and went on for quite a while. And suddenly I'm like, okay, it's a kid. There's a kid here. They're messing with us, right? They're just playing with the things. It's making all these noises. They love it. And at one point I had said something like, see the light? It won't hurt you. And again, nothing while we're there, but back later listening to it, this little voice goes, no. So it was very cool.
And again, it was a location that there was never any perceived paranormal activity. And so now it's a regular place that we try to go back to.
In fact, we went back again and we had the SLS there. And one of my favorite trigger objects, which for people who might not know, it's just something simple that you hope will get some activity going, is that I like to read Peter Pan. Like I could sit in the dark and read Peter Pan to see if any kids come along. And so while I was reading Peter Pan in this little school desk, there was a figure that appeared on the SLS and kind of stayed there while I was reading the story. So that was kind of, it was kind of cool too. Yeah. What it was, who knows? But it was very interesting for sure.
Oh.
So that's sort of how we got into it. I mean, and then it's been an adventure ever since, both in our own place and also, just going out there. I had mentioned before, but I hadn't mentioned on air that about 99% of our locations are not residential. Don't get me wrong, we will go out and do residential but we're very fortunate in being able to go out to historical locations and museums and theaters and restaurants and bars and workplaces and studios. So yeah, we're kind of fortunate in that regards. But
so how do you get into some of those places? It's like, what is your protocol? I guess
persistence is right. This guy right here. Yeah.
I sometimes it takes convincing, or it takes a lot of convincing. I'm not necessarily takes a no as a no. It just, to me, is not just right now. Sometimes with historical locations, you've got to wait until the board changes, and so you're able to talk to maybe somebody that's got an interest, and then get the word spreading that way. Be genuine. Tell them why you want to be there and why you want to do this. And when we go into, and this is for your viewers, is for paranormal investigators, when we generally go into a location and we're dealing with a client or a location, there's three things that we will talk with the client about. Number one is any evidence or anything that we find, it stays between that person and us. It doesn't go anywhere else. Nothing. It's okay. We come in, you think there's something here. We've come in and found nothing, or we found this, or this is a reason. We were at a restaurant, and one of the bartenders was always talking about feeling really like somebody was always watching him. Whenever he was at the bar, he was always being watched. It's a high-end restaurant. So we were in there bright and early at 4 a.m. doing our investigation, and we did all our checks and everything else like that. We couldn't find anything. So, but we really wanted to focus on this one area. We did. And what was behind the wall was a compressor unit. So whenever the compressor unit was going off, it was giving a lot of electromagnetic field. So we figured that this bartender he's sensitive. He's sensitive to those fields. It's just like walking in the basement of your house and you're getting the heebie-jeebies, or something's always, something's going to come out and bite me. Look up, see all the electrical wiring that's going across the thing, especially if you're going into a laundry room. You might have that sensitivity, or the hairs go up. Well, that's it. It's just you. It's nothing bad. It's just your so anyways, we do that between the client and ourselves, and we won't share a thing. There's the second one that we'll say, okay, we got this, and it's a great picture or a great EVP or anything like that, but it doesn't say anything about your location. Can we use it? We'll get their permission, and then we'll put it on, Facebook or our website or other social media. And then there's a third one. It's a free-for-all. They'll share it on theirs. We'll put it on ours. We'll put it everywhere. We'll talk about it, and things like that. So, which is really cool to an extent. Sometimes when you put that location up or talk about it, and it's been a long time for you to get that location, like you were saying, June, it's just how do you get these places? And then you find somebody else, another team or anything like that, goes and just hits them. I've gotten calls from locations say, geez, Paul, it was really great, and we did a lot of things, but I've had 4 different teams call me to try to get in here. I'm not wanting to be the ghost stop for this area. So sometimes you got to be careful in putting it all out there. And other times, well, what the hell? It's what they want. It's what you want. They embrace it. Let's do it. Especially if you do like a fundraiser for them, which we do a lot. They give us the opportunity to come into their place. So it's only fair that at some point we give it back, right?
Yeah.
So it's just, like, let's have a meal, let's charge a price, whatever, 100% goes towards them. Like, we don't charge dime for anything we do. And that's another thing out there that some teams do charge. We'll come and investigate, but it's going to cost you $170 an hour. No, it's no, it's not.
Wow.
Us. It's not us. But yeah, that's but I think, and then just
word of mouth gets around.
Yeah. Especially with historical locations and things like that. Oh, they're always talk to each other.
It's pretty awesome.
Just be fair. Just and just, if the guy says absolutely not, don't want to hear, thanks very much. We've a couple locations that I've talked to, and they've said no, but they're willing to meet for coffee. And the reason they said no is because another team had gone in there and actually caused some damage to some of their property. So basically it shut the door for any paranormal team ever
We've
to
come
get
across
into that
that
location
too.
again. And that's sad, because it really, no one gets the opportunity to just compare and talk about it or anything like that. So, and there's some, you know, like I said, para-unity is one thing, but then there's the other side that just not really nice. So hope that answers that question. Long-winded.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's all right.
Well, like Medea in the chat room is,
Hey, Medea.
she says, oddly enough, some of the best EVPs she's gotten have been in proximity of large electrical appliances. And then she puts ghost fuel ? So,
And that's
yeah.
true. Yeah. It's got to get it better.
Medea's the queen of EVPs, though. That woman is
That's
amazing.
true. Yeah.
Well, we get asked a lot is what's the best piece of equipment to go out with? And I generally have two things. It's one, it's your attitude. But number two is get yourself a good digital recorder. Like just a good digital recorder, and go out and, you know,
Start talking.
start talking.
Yeah, and make sure you don't have the noise canceling thing on the recorder that cancels the background noise, because that's going to defeat a lot of things.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, that's the best piece of equipment right off the bat. I mean, you can go and spend like lots, but
Fairly inexpensive.
Yeah.
You know.
That and a K2.
Sometimes the cheapest one's really good too. Yeah.
Absolutely. A K2 meter. I mean, that's another must have, so to speak, is because you get so many especially if you can get interaction on a questioning with that. We've spent 15 minutes in the green room of a theater having a discussion with somebody that was in vaudeville. It was totally unreal. That was a lot of fun.
That's pretty cool.
I bet it was.
Yeah.
Yeah, one thing we really like to do too is just to make sure you just don't have one K2 meter going, is to have a couple at least around each other. Because one, sometimes we find that if the K2 is running a little low on batteries, it's going to go off a lot and everything like this. But if you have two side by side, and they're not really side by side, even just, you know, in the close proximity, it's like, and you get the same readings. It's awesome because you're like, wow. And
we were with a K2. We were at an investigation just a few weeks ago, and we had so much. There was talk of a spirit that would sit on this box on the stairs right beside the band shell, and so we were doing our investigation, and I got into this one area, and then most of the team came over, and because my K2 was going off, then Scott's was going off. And so we figured, well, there's got to be something underneath the stairs. So we looked underneath the stairs. There's nothing. We actually took this box and moved it out of the way to see if maybe there was something, maybe there was, you know, a magnet from a speaker or something like that was setting things off. No, there was nothing. And it was like so, and reacting with so much energy. It's hard because sometimes, and you probably know this, we've had equipment completely drain on a whole wide range of different things, even though everything's fully charged, even though it's fresh batteries on everything. You'll go into a location and it just
sucks it dry.
It's gone.
You're like,
it's gone.
You gotta be kidding me.
What the hell? Didn't we just change? Yeah, we did.
Yeah.
And so you're saying, with besides the person that's got beside the transformer, I mean, it's got to get its energy from somewhere. Especially if it's going to interact or manifest or have a discussion with you. Well, guess what? I'm going to take some of that. I'm going to take some of yours and make it, mix it all together, and now we're going to have a conversation.
Seth is asking in the chat room if you got any compelling evidence from the SLS. I want to make sure that's how he worded it. Compelling activity on the SLS.
Well, yeah, Seth, we were talking a little earlier about the figure in the castle who was responding when we said, can you knock on the wall? The hand went up and went like this. And when I was asking about its leg, it straightened its leg. But the interesting thing about that, I called it the tall, but a little later that evening, the small came in. So then we had actually two. There's a big guy and a little a little, maybe, who knows. So that was kind of interesting for sure. But we always try to get an interaction with it. So if we're there and we think we're getting a hit with the SLS, we might reach our hand out and say, touch my hand, and see whether we get any activity that way. Because if something reaches out and touches your hand, then again, that kind of gives you an indication that maybe there is something else there with you that you can't see. It's made me very much a dimensionalist, this little toy, let me tell you.
That's pretty cool.
Well, it's also if you've got somebody with the K2 holding it to where this entity supposedly is, the K2 is reacting. You got another investigator that's holding out a hand and feeling a cold spot. And then you're actually catching something on an SLS when nothing is there that should cause it to try to think that something is there. So we've had that happen. So that's the interaction, I think, is the key.
That's what you look for sure. Yeah.
Because like you said, June, it can map out anything.
Yeah.
And think that anything is a ghost.
Yeah. Especially if you're using the Kinect, because it was actually designed to play video sports, right? So if you want to play tennis, you want to play golf with that Kinect camera, that's what it's looking for. It's looking for your arms, it's looking for your legs to be able to see that motion to replicate it into that video sport.
Okay. That's interesting. Now, Lynn from Singapore, welcome, Lynn. I'm glad you could make it tonight. She's planning her first paranormal adventure with some of her buddies, and this is really good stuff to learn. So,
well, and sorry, what's her name?
Lynn.
Lynn. Lynn. Just one thing is that don't, whatever you do, never go out by yourself.
Exactly.
I think that's really, really, even if you're just starting out and you're going to go to a cemetery and just hang out and see if there's something, there or whatever. Never, ever go by yourself. I think that you're asking for trouble that way. Something can attach itself to you, like a negativity or something dark. And that can affect you. And also it's good if you go with a buddy just to
safety first.
Yeah. If you fall down a hole someplace and you don't have anybody with you, if you're falling into an open grave, it's like, it'd be nice to have somebody to go get help. I get so irritated when I watch a lot of these YouTubers who go out by themselves and, go to these haunted locations by themselves. And, it's like, this is, and then they run into some crazy homeless people. They run into some, crazy wild animal that wants to tear them to shreds. And they're just like, oh.
Yeah. Or if they get I'm going to, so-and-so's home. And I'm going to take my, I'm becoming a paranormal investor and I go to this person's home and they don't know them really well. So you absolutely do not know what you're getting yourself into. And even some cases like you could have two of you in a home and it's something because you've been asked to come into it. Somebody's got to do some research on those areas first before you actually
good
get
idea.
full bore on things like that because you might it just could be a nut job. So sorry to say, or somebody, that's one of the reasons why I think our place or our Facebook page, we have it as private because we want to make sure it's a safe place for people to have their questions, to have their comments or anything like that, because it's hard for people to go out for their first one or to, ask a question or tell a story, because as a kid growing up, if you told your story to your best friend, best friend thinks you're weird. You're never going to get over it. It takes a long time to get over that.
That's true.
That's true. Because in the paranormal, there's only two sides. There's the one side that says, yeah, I heard this story. This is my grandma's place. We've got this happening or whatever. There's the other side that says, don't talk to me. Go away. You're
nuts.
You're nuts.
Yep.
I don't want to have anything to do. There's no middle road. You can't stand on one side, on the other side. There's no middle road. So,
I was just going to say that I remember when I used to work in HR, and a lot of people knew I was a paranormal investigator, and but I didn't really let it be well known, especially to the higher up executives, because they look at you kind of weird. But I'll never forget, we were at a Christmas party. One of the ladies had a little too much to drink, and she came up to the vice president and was like, it's so great that June is a paranormal investigator. She hunts ghosts. And just that woman, ever since then, she just came and gave me sideways glances and walked by really quickly. I was like, oh my God.
Yeah.
But
it's a tough, and it seemed like you were talking before about getting gigs or getting sites. You get the same times, the same situation. It's true. Either someone's got a little bit or heard about something and they'll talk to you about it, or it's thank you very much, go away.
They'll close you down really quick. Yeah, it's just like, no, we don't have any ghosts here. We've gotten that, and because you just, every time we go any place, and Ross Allison and I, we travel all over the world, and sometimes it's like we'll go to some of these places and we always ask about the ghost stories and say, well, do you have any ghost stories? And as soon as you ask, all of a sudden it's like, no, we don't have any ghosts here. It's just like,
oh, I guess you've been asked before.
Yeah. Sorry, we asked. We didn't mean to ask.
Yeah. Or let me tell you about this,
Yeah, that's my favorite, when all of a sudden they pull up a chair. Let me tell you about some of these, especially in the South.
we were at it happened to be another theater, and we did our investigation there, and one of our mediums had seen a hat person up in the projector. At least this is what we had been told, that there was this figure had been seen before in children on the stage. So she actually felt and seen a hat figure up in the projection room. We did this investigation early, about 8, 9 o'clock in the morning. So when we were done, there's a restaurant right next door. So we went right next door to have a little meal and debrief and things like that, have a coffee and talk about what else is coming else. And sure enough, the owner of that place says, because we had our gear on, and what's supernatural? Whoa, okay. And then so she was talking about, well, you guys got to come in here. And I said, well, why is that? She says, well, we keep on seeing this one guy down at the end, and he's got this black hat, and we're like, holy crap.
Wow, that's pretty cool.
Yeah. So because
that's another interesting point too, that it doesn't have to be at night. Lynn, if you want to go out and try in the daytime, you can have some fabulous success.
Yes.
Just going out in the day where it's a lot safer, obviously. Right?
True.
Yeah.
That's when I first saw my first shadow person, was in about 4:30 in the afternoon. So, it was, that was pretty amazing. That's actually was my very first real paranormal experience.
Wow.
And because I was such a skeptic, I didn't really believe it. And it was one of those things where there was no other explanation for it. And believe me, I tried to debunk it. I couldn't do it. So that kind of changed me a lot.
Yeah, I thought for me, I had my first, it's like, I had my first shadow figure at a church, and probably this time last year. And it was because there was always talk about somebody by the front door coming in and going out. So I was up by the pulpit, and we were doing a session up there, and I could see hangers in the back, the hangers that come from the dry cleaners, and they got the white paper on them and things like, I could see those, and then they would disappear, and then they would come back, and I'm like, holy crap, I'm seeing this. And for me, that was a lot of people within our team have seen that, but this was a first for me. So
that's pretty cool.
That was
It's pretty life-changing. I mean, in so many ways.
Oh, for sure. You're hooked. You're hooked.
Yeah.
But like our friend from Singapore, it's just be careful in how you go about doing things, and be respectful of everybody.
Yes,
else
please.
I mean, don't be a bunch of hoots in the graveyard sort of thing, because then that ruins it for everybody else that wants to get in that particular graveyard. But you know, just experience it, enjoy it,
and be respectful to the ghosts and the spirits. Don't go in there and go, you want a piece of me?
Yeah. No, David.
Yeah, we always do. We all. I don't know if you do it, but we do an opening greeting at the very beginning about what we're doing there and things like that. And we also close it out. So you know, don't come home with us.
Yes,
stay here.
please stay.
And
Thank you for letting us be here. But it's you know,
I call them the paranormal Miranda rights.
Oh yeah.
You know, you might not need them, but it's good to have them just in case, right? That's my philosophy.
Just a reminder to them. Yes.
And that's true. I mean, it's because here's the thing. You've probably been in locations, or as people get interested in becoming more and more involved in paranormal and becoming an investigator, there's some locations that you go back to on a repeated basis. And I believe in that because you might go the first time and not get much of anything. And then there's one historical location we've probably been there, I'd say 10 times. To the point that it's you know, we're having regular things happen because they don't know you from a hole in the ground when you first get there. That's
creepy.
That's a creepy.
Sorry, I like to change it up a little.
Oh, that's definitely dolls.
That's actually Mr. Creepy. That's his name. He's a ventriloquist dummy that's supposed to be haunted.
How did I come up with that?
Dolls are my phobia. It's just
here, I'll change it again.
No, it's okay. It's fine. But yeah, I mean, it's just be respectful for sure. Because
ghosts are people too.
And that's a good one. That's a good one.
Yes,
No more dolls.
You'll be noted. She'll be very respectful and going with a group of 5. So, you know, anybody falls in the grave, she doesn't intend to, but you know, it could happen. There are people there to help her out, and
that would suck.
Medea says, if you think to take one shot, one camera shot, take 3 or take a whole bunch in a row, just for control things.
And don't whisper. Always talk normally. That's another big thing when you're on your first investigation.
And don't be afraid to call out your farts.
Yes, exactly. Anything that happens.
Any bodily fluids. Yeah, that happens. Yeah, for sure. Especially
sorry, that was me.
Before you go. Yeah. That's me.
Your stomach growling. Yeah.
That's Paul. It's okay.
Yeah.
Because you don't want to listen later, because you know, a lot of people, when they listen to their footage later, all of a sudden they'll think, oh my god, I got a demon growling at me. It's like, no, that was June's stomach.
For sure.
There's a possessed cat here. What the hell?
Exactly.
Dead animals.
Scary.
Dead animal demons.
Yes. But have fun with it. I mean, you know, it's so many people get so serious about what we do. Yes, there is the time and the place, but really just enjoy it. Just enjoy being able to do things that somebody else doesn't really care to do.
Yeah.
And
once you're hooked, you're hooked.
And
I tell you, it definitely is a party breaker. You know, if the party's not going well, you can say, hey, I'm a paranormal investigator. You're what? And then it just boom. It's like it's kind of unique icebreaker.
It's true. Of course, I used to work in a sperm bank too, so that was a really good icebreaker.
Yeah, that's a good opener. Or closer.
I'm a paranormal sperm investigator.
Yes. Oh yeah.
Yeah, get that on a
an app for that.
We have an app for that. I don't know.
They do, but we won't talk about that in this show.
No.
So do you guys have any favorite trigger objects that you like to use?
Even besides the sperm bank. Well, you know, there are just so many, but one I really do love, and Jake has the Boo Buddy, and I know it's and for people that don't know, Boo Buddy is a little teddy bear, but his, of course, has all these different sensors on it, and if something's hugging it or touching it, it'll say, you know, I like to be held, or, you know, something like this. It has these trigger words. And of course, it has the little meter that lights up, like the electromagnetic field meter in it. And if something's touching one paw, that will light up. If somebody's, you know, I mean, it's just the coolest little thing. And I absolutely love his little boo buddy. But you know, we have harmonicas, fans, you know, sometimes we'll dress up, you know, just all sorts of things. It's just a lot of fun. Balls, toys,
Yeah.
speak and spell. We'll speak and
Oh, that would be a good one. Yeah.
Yeah.
If it goes off, that'd be pretty crazy.
Yeah, that'd be pretty awesome. Spell the word
We
out.
actually added a dog toy to our
Yeah.
our collection.
Yeah.
And the reason for that is Janine's a dog whisperer. If there's going to be an animal and it's going to do
Aw.
something, Janine is usually the one that will catch it. So they like talking to her.
That's pretty
Wendy,
awesome.
what was yours? You were laughing there. What was your trigger object?
She was probably thinking about the sperm bank.
Okay.
We're watching you weren't watching the chat room, were you?
No. I can't see it with your.
Mia helped out with the visual aid.
Or was it eggplants? Medea, stop. Eggplant ghosts.
Oh my God.
It was GIF of a little you know swimmer.
Oh, a little sperm.
Yeah.
A little ghosty sperm.
Sorry, it cracked me up, but no. June singing to the powers that be, or the entities that be, would be my favorite trigger object.
Oh. No, that's really fun. I love to like find out the songs of you know, the when the building was at their heyday or something like this, and try to sing one of the songs, and hopefully something will sing along with me or tell me to shut up. Start throwing things at me.
I do that too, but at a church. Grab a hymn and do it somewhere, because and see if we can get any reaction. Haven't, not yet, but never know.
You never know. One of these days, you know.
And then Ronnie, one of our investigators, she's got a bell, and she keeps on wanting her bell to be rung. So it's just
nice.
not happening.
One day, though,
One
it
day.
might. Yeah, you know. When you start to give up on it.
One day you go ding.
I have this phrase that I always I like to try that. I have a phrase in this sealed envelope, and I'll go into a room and I'll say, I have a phrase in this sealed envelope, and this is what the phrase is, and I'll say it. And then I will ask the other team going in after me when they haven't heard what that phrase is. And I'll ask the other team going in after me, and I'll say, ask the spirits what the phrase is that I just said. And hopefully it hasn't happened yet, but I'm really believing that one of these days that we'll get an EVP that will, you know, say that little phrase.
I mean, I think anything is just like we were talking about people in the group and the length of time. It's just going back to some of the older things, like we were at an investigation, and Troy and Glenn were using baby powder, and again, just putting it around just to see if anything would drag through it, step in it, leave a footprint, or some sort of an indication or anything like that,
or sneeze.
because you never know what's going to happen.
That's true. That's why that's true. Well, you know, one thing too, you didn't discuss about how you got the name of your group.
Because a cornerstone is the foundation, right? It's something that is has been a foundation for, well, not ever, obviously, but for centuries. There was always the cornerstone that was laid first, and everything was built around it. So for us, it was historical, but it was also a steady stone for us to build something that we were trying to build. So that's how Cornerstone came about, and we just wanted something a little bit different, not just an acronym for our group.
That's cool.
And we just want to make sure that anybody, especially our team, that, you know, they had that foundation that they could stand on. And I'm glad that it's been happening. It's, you know, for them, you know, and also for our members too. I mean, we have people that come to us and just ask for some assistance or have a question about things, and we got to encourage that, because I think conversation, communication is healthy about the paranormal, is healthy for everybody.
True.
You know, it's same thing. I mean, something that's caught in Australia might have happened here, or somebody's story in England is similar to somebody in your neck of the woods. So
True.
it invokes different things in different people. I think if we just can talk about it, that's all part of it. But yeah, we wanted to, especially because we came from different groups, we just want to make sure that, hey, look, this is it. This is where we wanted to make sure that anybody coming on board knew that it was going to have a solid footing. So
Very
yeah.
cool.
Yep, very cool.
And it kind of goes well on the shirts, right across the front of the shirts,
Nice.
the hats, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, Medea wants one that says ghosts are people too.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's a good one,
I like that.
Yeah.
for sure.
Oh,
I mean, don't be afraid of them. I mean, I think that's another thing is perception, is that every spirit or entity is going to come out and bite you or scratch you or do things.
Yeah. No.
Don't get me wrong. We've got somebody in our group that if something is going to happen like that, it happens to him.
Mhm.
But you know, I in all the time that we've been doing this, I don't think we've ever come across anything that's evil. We've come across some
haven't either.
darkness, and in fact, it was in a location where we had both light in the way of a child running up and down on a roof, and the darkness, which happened to be somebody that was just off of the kitchen. But it wasn't evil. I think, to me, darkness is more confusion than anything. Maybe it's just their way of reaching out and just don't know what's happened to them or can't understand what's happened to them, and want to try to, that's their way of coming across. But no, we haven't, you know, touch wood, we haven't come across anything that's evil.
Yeah, I haven't either.
Yeah.
I think there's some grumpy ones out there.
yep. Like June says, if you were a jerk in life, you might be a jerk in death as well. So
I agree.
Well, just like,
carries it on.
and the same with locations. If you why is certain locations haunted? Why is there activity in certain locations and not in others? It depends on, I think it depends on what you did in life. We do this one bar, and it happens to be an Irish bar, and it's okay, the owner's really nice. And he I mean, if that was your pastime during when you were alive, you went in, you sat with the boys, you had a couple of shots and shoot the shit and everything else like that. That was part of your, then why wouldn't it be the same thing when you pass?
Right. Yeah.
Right.
Like the best place forever.
Or if a theater,
Yeah,
theater
movie
was your life.
theaters or live theater for sure. They seem to be very active places.
Yes.
Yeah.
Almost all theaters, I think, have got to be haunted. I think so many people love the theater so much that it's probably really
Fun
hard to
place to hang
leave.
out.
Yeah.
And I don't think it's always the age of the place. And for people that are just starting out or just wanting to do things, don't necessarily have to be the
Nope.
best, oldest piece of property on the face of the planet.
Right.
It
That's
could
what
be
Ross Allison always says. Just because it's old doesn't mean it's haunted. That's what I always love to say.
It could be
It must
something
be
new.
haunted.
It could be a Travis Park for people to walk over that are walking through.
An old building that used to be there, even, it's like on that
Exactly.
spot. Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe it was a historical location at one time, and then they built this 20-story tower on top of it. Or they kept the facade of the old building and built something behind it. It just could be that. I don't know. I think you always got to be, again, keep that open mind. Be just about anywhere you want to go.
I mean, we're a relatively young city, and it's
Yeah,
pretty haunted.
like Seattle. Yeah.
Yeah, pretty haunted.
Yeah. Seattle's not that bad, is it?
We've done the
Me.
underground. We did the underground. We know. We've been
Pretty awesome.
for sure.
I was just seeing there was a new piece of equipment, that new toy was that 360 degree.
Oh yeah, that's pretty amazing.
I seen that. I thought, oh, no. Go to the next page. Go to the next page.
I can't wait to use it.
Yeah.
Of course, I'll never get to touch it.
No.
Be like,
Precious.
yeah, I'd be like, no, Juno, sign this waiver.
Oh,
No.
Do you find it with do you also find it that military or bases or things like that, Hungary, or those are generally more active than other
Yeah.
locations as well?
Yeah, I mean, we always hear a lot of stories. Of course, we're never really allowed to go on an active military base, which I've been trying to like get onto an active military base, but for some reason they won't let me. They think I'm just using the excuse of ghost hunting to, go to the officers' quarters, but I'm just kidding.
We would have been
Just
there. We would have
kidding.
been on an active base in November, but because of COVID, it's all
I know.
been changed. But that took a long time to get.
Oh, that
Long
stinks.
time to get.
I tell you, that's one thing. Yeah, we've had to cancel so many things. It's just like, no. Now Halloween is canceled. No.
Well, we had 8 fundraisers between the middle of September and the end of October scheduled for this year. All of them got all of them got moved to next year. So
Well, we're still going to help at Centralia, Washington. They Halloween is like one of their biggest fundraisers. So it's one of these things where we're just going to be really smart about it, and they're going to do a 5-person at a time ghost tour, and then we people in our team are going to be placed at different places we've investigated and tell them about the location, but we'll be wearing face shields when we talk and not stand very close to anybody. So it's one of these things where we're going to hopefully test this out, and hopefully nobody does.
I think I said it before, but that we did one of our first ones coming back was a fundraiser, and it was 50 people, and they're all split in their different areas.
Yeah.
And we had 6 areas for people to check out equipment and do different things. So, and that went well. That went well. But
I hope
it'll be what it will be what it is. It's just we've all got to be smart about what's happening.
Exactly.
And just
be safe.
Take care of yourselves, right?
And make sure we keep our teams safe. That's the biggest thing too. So that's what scares me a lot. So
yeah, some of us aren't as young as we used to be. So
in my mind, I'll always be.
That's it.
I'll always be.
I keep regressing.
Yeah,
it's like, what happened? Yeah.
Well, I'm curious about now what's if you can talk about it, what is the most active place you've ever investigated, and what was some of the activity?
That would be the castle.
The castle, I guess. Yeah.
We went to one location, and again, it's a penitentiary, or what's left of a penitentiary. And it took some time to get into this location, but when we did, I had a meeting with the general manager, and we talked about his place, and he was saying that, and I said, okay, well, one of my questions is, you're open to this. Have you experienced activity here? And he said, oh yeah, we have. And I said, so where is it? He says, I'm not going to tell you. I said, oh, okay. He said, you go do your thing, and then you come back and have a cup of coffee with me, and let's compare notes. We had a pretty close to a full team do that night, and we came back and we said, you've got 7 at least that we can tell here. and they're in this location, and we pointed them out to him, and he turned to me, he said, "You're bang on." So we were really fortunate that night, lucky. But yeah, there was, I mean, it had everything from, because it had a bar lounge area. There was
Cells in the basement.
Yeah.
Holding cells.
Yeah. Well, yeah, with the original bars.
Yeah.
That was, look at this goose pimples even thinking about it.
Cool.
That was where we got the SLS activity with the interaction up on
Tall
the
and small.
up on the upper level. We had a boardroom that had a shadow figure. We had yeah, that was a pretty active place. A lot of equipment would go off. We got some great EVPs. So it was, and we turned that into a Halloween event last year. So that was kind of cool.
Cool.
We set up 7 different paranormal rooms, and people would go through, and it went well. We ran out of time on that one. That's how popular it was. So, but I think that's probably one of our most. I think the other one is the hotel. Is by Harrison.
Sasquatch?
Yeah, Sasquatch Inn. And it's every time we go, it's one of those places that it's a location you go to, and then you go to again, and then you go. Every time we go, we get more and more. Two of my investigators got grabbed by their legs underneath the bed. Shitloads of K2 and REM pod activity in two bedrooms. We had cigar smoke they have an off sale there as well, but they don't sell cigarettes or cigars. But one of the previous owners always smoked a cigar in that area, so we got cigar smoke in there. We did a seance in the bar, and there was she's learning her trades, or her trades are just coming out, her skills. And she was talking about this one individual that was just staring outside the window inside, and she described him to a T, that to the fact that the current owner would say, "That's so and so," and he wore that when he died. So that was an interesting evening. That was an interesting evening. But again, it's the whole land in there is old, native, Aboriginal, and has a lot of. We've done several sites in that area, and every time it's not disappointing, for sure.
Cool.
So
Neat.
But you never know.
One of my favorite stories is we did this little historical place, and we gathered some information. We were doing a fundraiser that night, but prior to that, when we were doing the initial investigation, Jude, the one we were talking about, we're asking questions as you do, and she goes, I got a name, and I'm like, hey, what's the name? She goes, Kevin. I'm like, Kevin? No, it's got to be something like Elizabeth or Jonathan or Richard or Mary. She goes, no, Kevin. And I'm like, all right, sure, okay, fine.
Kevin.
So disbeliever, right? So anyway, we're doing this fundraiser, and this one group comes in, and as we're introducing ourselves, I'm telling the story of Jude and her, Kevin, just to make it kind of light. And there's this hush all of a sudden. This woman goes like this to her husband, and we call kind of look, and she goes, this is Kevin. And Jude goes, no, I'm looking for Kevin. And she names the name, and he goes, no, I'm Kevin, blah, blah, blah. This is my great-grandfather's house.
We didn't know you was coming.
We had no idea. So I was like, oh, eat my words,
That's
Kevin,
pretty funny.
Kevin. So, that's the gift that some people have that they can add to your team for sure.
That's
Even
pretty
if you're
cool.
skeptical like myself, but I had to eat crow on that one. Yeah, Kevin.
And again, have it like it or not, I think it adds different perspectives when you go on an investigation.
Oh, definitely, yeah.
It's a really, really good tool to have. You don't have to have the actual hardware if you've got the other. I mean, right. Janine's claircognizant, so
cool.
and we've got in my opinion, one of the best psychic mediums in Vancouver on our team. So we're touch wood on that. Yeah, Catherine's really, really, really good. So.
Yeah, rounds it out. Keeps you humble, apparently. Right? But yeah.
Yeah, no, but I think that's just a couple locations. I think we've been surprised at others. And like I was talking before, is you don't necessarily, you'll go into some locations not expecting anything, and you'll get that aha. And that's pretty incredible too.
And other nights you go to some place that's reportedly haunted and you get absolutely nothing.
Yeah, that's true.
It could be the story of something like, we were invited to this one restaurant because there was talk of, before that someone dragged a body across the roof, and that's why they always hear this and everything else. Turned out to be raccoons and crows fighting on an ongoing basis. So,
it's like turf wars.
Pretty much. Yeah.
There's the body, the raccoon.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, it's something when people have their minds made up, though, that they have a haunted location. On almost any proof that you give them that you debunk it or whatever, they don't want to hear it.
That's true.
Well, and then there's the other side of the coin too. Is we did this a high school, and we did catch some activity there, and I gave it to the principal and said, "Here."
No. He doesn't want it, probably.
Oh, he did not want it. Absolutely not. In fact, he said, "Do I have to stay in the building?" And I'm like, "Well, you got the guy got the alarms, and you got the guy that got keys. So yeah, I'd kind of like you to stay here for a little while." And sure enough, and so I texted him about a month ago, and I said, "Hey, how you doing? Would you like us back?" He said, "Yeah, not yet." So,
like, please.
His particular school still shut down, but I mean, it's so he could probably get back in there, but I don't think he wants us there for a while. He's got to still, and he's the same individual. When we first talked, you were talking to June about locations. When we first talked, he said, "Oh, I'm really interested. I'd like to go out on a paranormal investigation and see how it's, I watched it on TV. I want to see what it's done in real life." And I said to him, "Well, if we ever in your area and we've got a spot, because some places you can have 12 people in a place that holds 4. Sure." That didn't happen. And I think he's kind of glad it didn't, because I don't think it would have lasted.
That's pretty funny.
I think he would have ran.
We've actually had some clients like that they want us out and they really want us to do the investigation, and they come out and do the investigation and they don't want to hear what we found. No, never mind. I don't want to hear what you found, because they were hoping that we'd say, "Oh, sorry, we didn't find anything," but say, "Well, can we come over and just kind of sit down with you and kind of go over what we found?" "You found something?" No, I'm really busy. I can't even tell you how many times that's happened.
Well, there's other locations where, like I said, it's some locations, let's put it out there and let's make it happen. There's another location we go to, and it's probably another one of our most active, but I can't tell you where or talk about it, other than the fact is that they do not want to be turned into a ghost destination.
Right.
They do not want to be known as, "Oh my God, I'm coming here because of this." Not because of the history or location or anything like that. They're afraid of just becoming a tourist paranormal hotspot. And
Right.
I can guarantee you that it would be if that was the case.
Sometimes I want to say, you don't know how many people will want to come here, as well as not only the history buffs, but the paranormal investigators. And usually paranormal investigators are history buffs. I mean, they go hand in hand. I truly, the true paranormal investigators, not the thrill seekers that just don't care and want to go in there and, cause havoc and ruin it for the rest of us that are trying
Yeah.
to get in and really investigate. But
You're right there, June, is because the bad experience will definitely kill a lot of locations that are really cool and really would be
sad.
interesting to get into, but because of some team have been in there and done something wrong or badmouthed it or whatever, it just really truly ruins it for anybody else that's ever got a chance. And to get those even close to even contemplating you coming in, it takes a lot of work. It takes a lot of convincing. It's like a sales job, trying to get them to believe in that you're not like that other team.
Yes, but without being too pushy, that's the whole thing too, to make sure that they don't bar you for being pushy. But
I don't think I've been barred yet. Yeah.
But I know what you mean.
There's still time. There's still time. But we don't own these locations. That's the other thing is we've got to be fairly open to that, but at the same time it's respect and having a little communication. There's this one it's Vancouver Police Museum, and I knew the paranormal team that was in there on a fairly regular basis, and I wanted to get in because I wanted to see if all those stories and things like that was true. But I picked up the phone and I talked to the guy that ran that particular team, and I said, do you mind us? I'm interested in coming into this location. I know you're there on a regular basis. Do you mind if I, followed up with them and seen if we could get some access? He said, I appreciate the phone call. Thanks for being honest. I have no problem doing that. And I think if there was more of that,
yes,
I think that would open up some other doors, not just, oh, so-and-so's being in it, I'm gonna come in through the back door.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously it happened to you, June. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Oh,
that's why sometimes you don't talk about locations. It's just because I said that is they just get inundated, man, oh man, not only from other paranormal teams, but thrill seekers and people who just want to see if something's there, right? They're not interested in
the history and the overall everything and the respect for it. They just want to
get underneath this. And,
they want to see a ghost. Ross Allison is, he owns Spooked in Seattle Ghost Tours. And it's really funny because sometimes he's gotten bad reviews because people did not see a ghost on the ghost tour. Yeah. Darn those ghosts.
Oh yeah, I hate being a paranormal investigator because I don't get something every time.
Yeah. Oh man, that'd be so nice if all of a sudden we just say, "Okay, we're here.
Yep. Okay, we're just gonna put this equipment here. We're gonna go away and come back, and you just take care of things for us."
Yes. Oh, that'd be awesome.
Watch and paint dry.
Yeah.
Yes.
Here's 4 hours of audio. You go listen
that's
to that.
The other thing is you have to be dedicated enough to want to listen to every little device that you've used to record on, because if you've had 3 recorders going for 4 hours, that's 12 hours of your life that you're going to have to sit and replay and listen very, very carefully.
Well, this is what irritates me so much is so many new investigators. They get in there and the only thing they use is the ghost box. They don't use, they don't use any audio recorders. They don't use any video recorders. They basically only use the ghost box. It's like they have instant ghost where they think that they are just talking to someone. This is their whole investigation, because they don't want to sit there and listen. Because if you have multiple audio recorders sitting in different places and you are at that investigation for 6 hours, that is 6 hours on each audio recorder that you have to listen to. But it makes it all worth it when all of a sudden you get some little girl's voice at 4 o'clock in the morning in a bar, an old bar saying, "What you doing?" It's just like,
that's
wow.
that's like,
which is
wow.
awesome.
That's Yeah.
It makes it all worth it. And then you're hooked forever, even
it's
more.
just like watching that stationary IR camera for 6 hours or overnight. Oh my
Yes.
God.
And you see a shadow walking by.
Just come by. Is that an orb?
Yeah.
Yeah. But again, simple things like you said, a good digital recorder is probably a good key. Everybody's got a good camera or a good a cell phone that they can take some quality pictures.
Yeah.
Take shots. Take some shots, because you never know when you're going to catch something.
Right.
It could be something peeking around the corner. It could be a shadow that you can't describe. Yeah, we get a lot of questions and videos about is this something, or but no, it's a fly going by the screen or anything like that. But then there's the odd one that you really cannot. You blow it up and there's a face there. So how can you say that was a piece of dust? We all see different things, like what's it called, where you can see an object, but it's your mind says it's something.
Matrixing.
Pareidolia.
Oh yeah, matrixing, pareidolia. Yeah.
Oh my God, that's again, it's people see that when really it's not.
Well, especially reflections on glass. You don't know how many times people will be like, oh my God, I caught this face in this window. And then if you just blow it up, you can see it's the tree branches or the leaves, and you try to tell them, it's like, no, I know what tree branches look like. That's a ghost. It's like, okay. Or the people that still hold on. Yeah, there are the people that still hold on to orbs.
And they're try not to crush their dreams.
Yes, you don't want to, but sometimes you're just like, and they're so hooked on orbs or something like this, and you say, well, I think that might be dust. My house doesn't have any dust in it. Okay.
Bring the pledge. Yeah.
Oh, by the way, your cat just went by.
Yes. Exactly.
Oh, man.
And you don't want to say anything bad, but it's like, I remember one time this woman came up to me and she showed me this picture right after her grandmother's funeral, and there is this orb that's kind of sitting on her shoulder. I'm not going to go, oh my God, that's not your grandma, that's just dust. I'm going to say, oh, you never know, it might be, that might, I hope it means a lot to you. I'm not going to say that's probably not your grandma. I was like, that's very beautiful memory.
Dust demon.
It's a dust demon. Yeah.
That funeral home was really dusty. Hope they didn't. Yeah.
Sure.
So.
Yeah, it's a great thing to do, but just be respectful.
Yes,
sure.
Please.
Safe.
And if you do get into a team or anything like that, make sure you put the time in.
Yeah.
Don't just be I'm just going to show up and I'm going to disappear, because we need the people that are going to help out. And we've got a couple team members that give me all the audio. I'll listen. I'm like,
here, please take it.
Take it. I'll
Here's 4,000 hours.
I'll take a look at the trap cam and see if there's anything that we caught there.
Please.
So,
well, I'm such a control freak.
Simple cameras too, like trap cam that's used in for hunting and that. I mean, that's a good
awesome.
That's a good thing, just to stick on a tripod and just leave it and let it run. And if you get any motion or anything like that, that's going to pick that up. Yes, it's sometimes your other investigators walking by, but it's a good. You don't have to be in a particular room when.
True.
Stick a recorder and stick a trap cam in there and just.
One thing bad about some of those trap cams, and you really have to watch, is the delay. It makes me so irritated when all of a sudden you see that there is even like a 5 second to a 10 to 15 second delay, and that's like 5 seconds can be like the lowest that you can put it down to, and you're thinking, the ghost could do a little tap dance in 5 seconds and then run away. It's like, darn it. You just get the trigger and then there's nothing there. It's like, what was there?
Yeah, no, you gotta pick the right piece.
Yeah, make sure you look and see, because if not, because that's what happened to me. I didn't really pay attention because I just assumed it would go off automatically and take the picture, but no. Yes, the delay. It's like, anyway.
We get a lot of people want to get into become a paranormal investigator, and we get asked a lot can I come on an investigation? And you probably do too.
Yeah.
From friends and relatives and acquaintances and things like that. You do your best. If you can bring them out to certain, like you've done that with some friends, sure.
Just for fun
for
places.
Fun, or they can watch how the process happens and actually feel like they're part of a real investigation. That sometimes satisfies them. But you can't be everything to everybody. You just can't.
Exactly. Sometimes you hurt some feelings, but
yeah, you do that. But
especially when you're going on client investigations, we can't have people visiting.
Well, it's just like Janine's got this rule because we're at, well, I said 14, really we got 15, but that's another story. But because she just moved up to Kamloops, but we've got 14, and you heard my reasons why. But Janine's like, no more, because it gets a little.
It's like managing work. You have too many people, it gets to be a big. Like there's too many personalities and not good.
Yeah.
Even if you all get along, you need to be able to manage your team. And if you get too big, that's very hard to do.
We've got about 70 members, but we have I'd say about 25 to 30 that are pretty active right now. And we're really lucky because we have a really good team that works really well together. And we only, go out with 4 to 6 people on, an investigation. Depends the size of it. But, it's very challenging now that we, aren't as active. And so we have to put it down to, how many people have been coming to the meetings regularly, how many, people are the most involved in meetings or something like this. And that's kind of how we have to cut down. But a lot of places now, it's like we're trying to see if they would mind if we could come in Friday and a Saturday night, so we could at least have small groups of each. So, I want to try to give everybody a chance to do an investigation. But, with COVID going on, we can't get into a lot of places. So it's been really slow, but, I just feel terrible that we do have to have such small teams, but, and people understand that too, but yeah, I know what you mean. It's like, okay, we might be cutting down. This might be the size of our group for a while. So, but we'll see.
We're pretty comfortable with the team because they don't all come out at once, and the only time it really gets close is if it's a fundraiser. Then they try to make it to those, and be part of it, because you always have people with the questions and Q&A and things like that. So,
right.
But for a fact, in some locations you can only have 4 people. Yep. And
yep.
Others, it can accommodate because if you have too many, then it's like, okay, where are we going to go? How are you going to split this up, right? We had a location here, and we had 13. We had a couple of guests there, and we had 13 of us, but at least luckily there was 3 major buildings that we could split into, and each building had something a little bit different. So it was kind of cool that way. So
that's cool.
At least everybody was able to participate, because I was a little worried going into that. I thought,
I'm sure you were like, oh, yeah.
We're going to be
well. I used to belong to a group before I joined a Ghost. My friend Todd, who he couldn't say no to anybody. So we had an investigation one time in Index, Washington, as this old Busch Inn, that really active location, and he just couldn't say no to people. And these other groups would say, oh, we always wanted to get into that place. Can we come? We had, oh my God, I don't know, at least 60 or 70 people there. And it was my job to keep them all quiet
Oh my God.
outside and only let 4 or 5 people in at a time. And I was just, I was like trying not to be mad.
Oh, you would have been lost.
But
sure.
we made everybody go home, I think around midnight or 1 o'clock in the morning. And then like very small team kind of came and we stayed the rest of the night. But it was just like, oh my God, keeping everybody quiet.
Oh my God. I think that's the key. That's the hardest thing.
Like 15 minutes, 15 minutes.
Well, especially have new people. Either coming onto your team or new people that have never done this before, like
Right.
you talking about what not to do. And I think that's the hardest thing is right at the very beginning. Don't do this. Please
Right.
don't talk, don't whisper, don't, things happen. Just say that it happened. Don't just,
Yes.
It wasn't me.
Yes.
Because
exactly.
it just drives everybody nuts.
Yep.
Especially me. I'm like, my God, did you hear that? That was incredible. Holy shit, we're gonna get this one.
Yep. Yes, we know. Now, are you guys primarily ghosts?
No.
I mean, do you primarily do paranormal with I guess you'd say ghost hunting?
No.
Sorry.
And I prefer the term paranormal philosopher myself. Because hunting sounds so,
Yeah, I know. We have our little
but
ghost.
no.
gun.
Oh, and don't talk to Sasquatch people about hunting. That's not a good
Yeah,
thing.
it's not a good thing. So
Yes, that's not.
I mean, the thing is, you are able to go out and do these kind of investigations. It's harder to pick a night when the UFO is going to hit the sky. If we could, we would, because certainly we're interested in all those things. We love to hear the stories of things that have happened to people or when they've spotted things in the sky. Stories of Bigfoot. We'd like to see the casings from the feet. So anything that is not the norm is certainly within our field that we would look at for sure.
Yeah, but I mean, the Pacific Northwest, it's a hotbed for our furry friend.
Yeah.
And we deal with a lot of Aboriginal or Native lands and locations. So in some places, that's their god. Sasquatch is their god. And so there's a guy that I don't know if you've heard of him, Thomas Seawood, that runs Sasquatch Island on Vancouver Island. And he comes down to Seattle on an ongoing basis. He comes back and forth. Well, not now, but we had an opportunity of doing a interview for him for Supernatural Sunday, one of Janine's
YouTube, Supernatural Sunday.
Yeah.
Fun.
There's a plug there. But it was to talk with him about the Buckwus and what the totem poles are meaning and why the Aboriginal was so in tune with Sasquatch. He was pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
And if we ever get up to his neck of the woods on North Vancouver Island, I think there'll be some adventures there for sure.
That would be awesome.
He's had some even some friends of mine that you talk about people from work. I got the shock of my life from a guy that I worked with, and he said, I've got Sasquatch stories. And I'm like, what?
I bet.
I'm like, I never knew. So I mean, and we had a really good conversation with him about that. One of our team members, he's UFO sighting out in, there was no anything else that it could be described by. So yeah, we're always open to that conversation. It's just like Janine says, when are you going to set a trap? You can't. Yeah.
Yes.
Big.
We want to come to your spaceship and investigate.
Yes. But yeah, I think if you're paranormal means paranormal. I think it's nothing of the norm.
And again, who knows? Maybe they're all the same thing. Like we
never
don't
know. Might be all connected.
Yeah, we don't know. Maybe
Sorry,
that
interdimensional being.
Sorry, Wendy, I cut you off earlier. What were you saying?
Oh, well, Renee in the chat room is asking, has a spirit or ghost ever attached itself to any of you?
Not to me, but they have to a couple of our members, yes. And it has taken, because they didn't properly close off an investigation or properly protect themselves.
Do you think that really, I mean, do you think if a spirit has free will, do you think even, sometimes I think about this, even saying like, now stay here, please don't leave, things like that. But do you think if a spirit really likes you and decides, I'm just going to go home with you and see where you live and see what you do? I just kind of wonder about that sometimes. I personally, I'm knocking on wood. I don't have any wood around me right now, but so I'll knock on my head. Yeah. I have not had, well, some people said I have an attachment sometimes, but I don't think I do. But
I like to believe in the prime directive, in that they're not supposed to let you know they're there. It's just sometimes they slip up.
Yeah. Sometimes I wonder that though, I always think about that, it's like, if they really want to, are they just going to, but
yeah. And I, there's, and we don't do clearings.
No, we don't either.
Some people.
But we do have 3 people in our group that will do that. And so we'll say, no, that's not us. However, talk to our members here and these 3 investigators, and they can help you through with that if that's what you wish. Because some people think that that's the only way they can help themselves or rid themselves of something, so
I don't know.
Others,
I always have about that too. I think if a spirit is so intelligent and everything, and it's like, hopefully they would at least respect your wishes and say, oh, basically, I didn't know I was scaring you. I was just trying to get your attention. I just wanted to get a message to somebody, and I didn't realize I was being so forceful or scary. And then they back off. I'm hoping that that's what they would do. But, sometimes I just think that if a spirit does not want to move on, it's going to say, yeah, well.
I think it's all the way. Honey. However, talking about going into investigation or for the first time, have that respect. Just if I'm going to show you respect, and I'm going to be positive about what I'm doing here and truthful about that, I'm not here to hurt you in any way, that hopefully that you get that in return.
Well, and for me, if we're going in to try to remove something, which I don't really like to do, but there has been occasions when that's been the case, then I'm very careful about what I say when I enter the building, because when I go in there and I say what we're going to do, if I say we're going to leave you alone, we're not going to harm you, we're going to leave everything as it is, then I have to have that word as my bond that that's what we're there to do, right? So if we're there for an entirely different motive, then I think you got to be really careful about what you say.
Yeah,
true.
That respect thing too, right?
Yeah. Just treat them like they were like you and I talking, like they were right there. We just can't see you. And then if you're able to deal with that and get your mindset around that you're talking to somebody that's really not there, then you'll have a good experience because of it. Maybe you'll get something, maybe you won't. But I think that, and again, I'm hoping in this, is that you'll get that type of rapport or communication with something that might say, he's not trying to make my life rough. Maybe I'll figure out what the hell they're talking about. I don't know. That's my guess. At least that's what I'm going to go in with. I mean, I could be wrong. I could be, most times I am. But hey, if we can make it work, why not?
Oh, that's why it always cracks me up when people call themselves experts in the paranormal. It's like, I'm sorry, you're not going to be an expert until you die. And then you are part
we don't
of the
know. We
paranormal.
don't know. We're just trying to philosophize what's going on. Did I make up that word?
You
Yeah,
did.
I did.
Yeah, I like that.
I'm a
word.
philosopher, remember, people? Paranormal philosopher. I don't really know what's going on. I'm just pretending. But, it's just as good a guess as anybody else's because we don't know. We don't.
And we're learning every time.
True.
If you're just go in with, I know it all, then
Yeah. Then
Go
you're
away.
probably going to be
You're not
proven.
Yeah, you're not being true to yourself or the people around you.
exactly. I mean, you just want to make sure, because we're learning something new every time. It could be even like you've done this 1,000 times, but maybe you do something just a little different. It's here, just like questioning. Like you're asking questions, trying to see if you get a reaction for something or a response for something. Feel what the group is doing. If you have one investigator that's suddenly going off in this tangent, then maybe there's a reason for that. Why is she or she being drawn in that direction? Let's follow that. Everybody doesn't have, okay, you get 2 questions, you get 2 questions, you
Right.
get 2 questions, and that's it. And it can't be whatever. That's crazy. Everybody's got an opinion. Everybody's got their own way of doing things. So work off each other.
True.
Why not?
And if you do have an audio recorder going, if you can listen live through a headphone, you'd be surprised at what you can hear because your headphone will pick up different frequencies that your natural ear hears. So, I mean, we all hear different things, especially at different ages, but that headset will amplify and pick up things that you may not normally hear with your normal hearing. So it's really interesting to do that one night if you get a chance, if you haven't done it before. Because then you can say, mark that spot, I heard something. And then go back and listen to it later.
Yeah. Cool.
Yep.
Bless you. Bless you.
You okay over there? Are you just losing a lung?
Sorry, it's not COVID. It's just my asthma.
She's in the trees.
Yeah, I think this is getting my asthma worked out. I always have to tell people that. I swear it's not COVID. I just have asthma really bad. Sometimes it gets
I've been
me.
stuffed up and it's been the forest fires that are coming up here, right? So just the air is just hard to
Oh,
breathe.
so you guys are getting that now.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. We had it really bad. Was it just last week?
About a week
2
and a
weeks
half,
ago.
week and a half
Yeah.
ago.
Oh, yeah. You feel so horrible for everybody going through that. But then it's just like the air is just.
We actually had the
absolutely
worst
terrible.
air in the world here in Vancouver. And we didn't have any fires going here, but it was just coming up from south of us on the coast, right? So hopefully that'll get under control for everybody down there because that's not fun at all.
Yeah, a week and a half ago, we were doing an investigation.
Oh.
Sorry.
I was just hoping it wasn't mine.
Yeah, I was like, oh,
It was mine.
The bat phone.
yeah.
Looks like it was Glenn trying to get a hold. Sorry,
Can you
Glenn.
guys remember or tell any funny stories that have happened on investigations that you'd like to share? I always love to hear some like funny stories or fun stories.
Mm-hmm.
What did I do?
No. I already told the Kevin one because that's always my favorite one. Silly me.
Funny stories. Wow. Well, hang on a sec.
Let's embarrass Glenn.
I think funny stories was when because we'll be at we'll go into an investigation, and there's 2 investigators, and they always do this to me. Is I'll lose them. Like, you think that we're in this place or anything like that, and you're wondering where the hell they are, and they're, what the hell? Where'd they go? They always do that to me, and I generally find them like in the weirdest places. Either they're in the basement, or they've crawling up on the fire escape to get onto the roof. And so I'm looking and I'm trying to get up there, and they'll just do one of those things and scare the shit out of me. But they do it all the time because they get into holes like trying to figure out if something's, you know, does it have an extra entrance or anything like that. So yeah, it's just not. So, but no, that's, I don't think other than, no, just trying to, well, we were coming home from an investigation, and we didn't want to pack, it was downtown, and we didn't want to pack the car in. So we took a taxi, right? So we had, I had all the equipment in the back the other teams that brought their stuff, but I had all our equipment in the back of a taxi cab. Coming back home, and I go to the back of the cab, paid the cab driver, said, "Thank you very much, appreciate this." Go to the back, and I'm just grabbing my bag, and he drives away. I'm like running down the road with the equipment.
No.
Oh, so he turns around, he says, "Oh, sorry, I never did." I'm like, "Fuck, I got this."
Oh my God.
But yeah, because his thing was, his hatch was open, and here I am holding all this equipment and, you know, trying to survive. I was nuts.
Oh my God. That would be terrible.
People were waiting to come in because we were going to have a little get together afterwards just to debrief and that. And they were watching me go down the road and trying to get. That wasn't fun.
No.
That wasn't fun. So.
We had to live up to our obligations in blinding rainstorms too. That's not fun. But when you promise somebody you're going to show up, you have to show up, right? Especially if it's a community event.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
On Halloween night, it was nasty.
It was,
You know what the rains are like in the Pacific Northwest in October, and we got drenched. It was like, oh, why did we agree to do this? But yeah, you have to. You have to keep your promises.
Yeah.
Oh yes.
There, you've done
very important.
Yeah. Don't just not show up, because again, it's another of those. Oh well, there's click them off your list.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. No, that's no, we haven't had much else. Guess we're just too serious. People ask me, "Don't you get afraid?" I guess all the time, and I'm like, no, I'm just too busy concentrating on what the hell I'm doing, trying to see if I catch anything or hear anything. Or
we're actually ghost hunters. When we hear when we hear a scary noise, we go towards it instead of running away from it. No, dude, run! You know, as we run away, we don't.
We had this event, and there was a meal, and it was the one at the castle with the 7 rooms. And this person she was really wanting to go on a paranormal investigation and see what it was like and everything. And the tickets were like $50 a head. And so she paid her ticket. People came in costume because it happened to be in October. And she came in, she had the meal, and then she left because she said, I can't go to the rooms. It's too much for me. And I'm like, but you know, well, it happens.
So that's fair. That's another fair thing, that if you are doing a public event, it's good to have, for lack of a better word, an escape route for people who may become overwhelmed with what's.
That's true.
Not that anything's going on, but sometimes it's a little hard for them to kind of handle what's going on.
Yeah. That's true.
Yeah.
True.
What's your funniest story?
Oh,
turn the tables.
I could. Most of my funny stories involve rodents.
Oh, no.
I'll never forget. Yeah, there was one time my friend John and I were investigating in this old tack room, and back used to be a stable, and it was part of a house, but used as a lot of storage. We're sitting on chairs, and he kind of knows that I do have a little bit of a rodent, not really phobia, but you know, just a little unnerved sometimes. And he's talking very softly, June, I don't want you to be alarmed, but there are 2 little mice crawling almost to the back of your neck. And as soon as he said that, all of a sudden you can see my camera fly out of my hand. I knocked over the other camera. I almost knocked over the coffee table.
Yeah, that would be.
Oh, that would be it.
The first thing, don't be alarmed, is always the kicker, right?
But yeah, that's one of the funny ones.
Yeah.
And another one, yeah, there was we were at we investigated Tillamook Village.
Tillamook cheese factory?
No, that's not the
Oh,
cheese.
that'd
Love the cheese.
Tillamook Village. We got to investigate that whole little island, and all of a sudden, it's like we had the thermal imaging camera, and for some reason, this little mouse was in love with me, and you see this little warm spot running towards me, and every time I try to get away from it, it was kept following me. And Ross, we were laughing so hard, and I'm like, I'm trying not to scream because it wouldn't stop following me. And I just knew it was going to crawl up my pant leg, you know. So yeah, most of our funny stories have to do with some kind of bats or rats or mice.
Well, and that's the thing is especially if you're doing historic or anything like that, like don't get too excited over some of the things you might hear, because it could be mice that are in the walls.
Or bats that are about ready to hit you in the face. And you don't see it until you watch the infrared and think, oh my God, that's what that noise was. But anyway. So it's just like, well, you know, but I always love to hear those stories. But well, on the other part, has there ever been a time where you felt really, really scared on an investigation? Maybe not scared, but I don't know. What's a good word for it?
Anxious?
Or anxious, or
Yeah, that's
had to leave the room.
Mhm.
No, in all honesty, no. And I'm not just because, you know, no, I haven't really come across that where I wanted to get up and run. I think if we've heard anything or seen things that we think is there, I think the curiosity comes out more than the flight factor. You?
I'm trying to think, because I do recall, and I can't remember where, unfortunately, but I do recall having that feeling like I really don't want to do this, and I don't think I did. Because again, sometimes it's about trusting your instincts.
Right. You gotta listen to that voice.
But it's like, you know.
I mean, we've had a couple investigators get really anxious on their way to an investigation, and feeling that, you know, the rumbly tummies and things like that, because it's like they know some things there waiting for them, like, you know, they know we're coming. There's yeah, so that's happened, but I don't know, you know, for myself, no.
I've had to sometimes try to get other members, like to get the entities to back off them. That's happened.
Yeah.
That you know, I've like, leave them alone, go away now, and when they're feeling the pressure, it seems to work for whatever reason.
I know that one of our investigators had an investigation on Vancouver Island, and again, it was a historical location, and they went to, there was multiple buildings, and they went to the one door of the one building, and it's like, nope, I don't want to go in here. And they just turned around and walked out. They didn't really go into that building because there was sort of like an energy there that they didn't feel was wasn't evil, but it was enough to cause them to back off.
Intimidating, maybe, or something.
Yeah.
This could have been something. No idea what it was.
You gotta listen to that voice, because if you don't, you never know, you know, what could happen. But
Body function. See, I'm just pointing it out. I just had one of those moments, and that's what you need to do, people. So when you're playing this back, that was not somebody going, oh, it was like, something else going on here. So goes.
Yep, that's okay. It's okay. Well, Wendy, do you have anything else you'd like to ask, or in the wrap up time?
I think we need to wrap up. Yeah, because
Okay.
So guys, how can people get a hold of you?
Well, there's two. One of the main things is, you know, if they're really interested, come onto our Facebook page at Cornerstone Supernatural, and we are there, so to speak. Our website's available, cornerstonesupernatural.com. And there is links at the end there to email us or, get in contact with us that way.
And if you've got a story you'd like to share, Supernatural Sunday on YouTube, give us a shout. We can do this video chat and you can come and tell me when you saw the UFO, when you saw the ghost, because people love to hear your story. So that's another option. Hit that subscribe button.
Yeah.
Fun.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
But yeah, just I think if you've got a story to tell or a question to ask, come onto our Facebook page and share it in a safe area.
Awesome.
Because it's that's what we're there for, is to have that support for people that are just starting out and or people that think they know everything and put it out there and then find out that no, but it's a fairness. I think that's the other thing. So
If anybody's mean to you, we'll kick them out.
there you go.
Yeah.
Yeah. True. No paradrama.
No, fair. No Facebook demons.
True.
I do recordings for all those apps in case you wondered. Too bad.
But yeah, anytime, contact us. We're there.
Yeah.
We travel throughout
Cool.
British Columbia, so maybe we'll once things get clear or anything like that, you guys and us will hook up and do something.
You never know.
That'll
Hopefully
always be
I'll
fun.
get to see Canada again someday.
There you go. Yeah. Maybe not on a train. I don't know.
Maybe in a hazmat suit. Maybe they'll
There
let
you
us
go.
in. We're in a hazmat suit.
But we thank you very much for having us
Yes,
on. We
thank you
really
very much.
appreciate the time and the
Lovely meeting
questions
you.
and that. It was fun.
Yeah.
A little bit of reminiscing and like talking
Yes.
to old friends.
Bye, Seth. Bye,
Awesome.
Medea.
Very awesome.
Like technical issues, it's been good.
Yes.
That border thing, I'm telling you. There you go.
Yeah.
Getting across.
Yep.
There you go.
There's probably a UFO right above.
Well, we put in our request, but
Yeah.
just stop
You
there.
never know.
You never know. Okay, guys, thanks very much.
Thanks, Wendy. Thanks, June.
Absolutely.
Thanks, everybody. Stay safe.
Good show.
Bye.
Okay, bye-bye.
Ciao.
I'm going to thank everybody in the chat room. And Gary, I'm going to assume you are First Nation, which is really cool. And thank you, Lynn. Thank you for tuning in all the way from Singapore. My goodness.
Yes.
And
That's pretty awesome. I'm going to go to Singapore
Yeah.
someday.
chatting in. But well, we've got this coming Wednesday, we've got Nick Redfern coming on to talk about his newest
Awesome.
book, The Martians, Evidence on the Red Planet, Evidence of Life on the Red Planet. So
That's going to be
that's going to
awesome.
be a good show. I'm pretty sure anyway.
Yes, it always is with him.
It really, really
He
is.
is so informative and so much fun.
Yes. We'll see if we can get him on camera this time too.
Yes, that would be great. That would be really
Yep.
great. Yeah, people would love to see him.
Mhm. All righty, June, got anything else? Well, okay, and then the week after, we are going to have a paranormal panel.
Oh, yes.
Yes.
That's going to be fun.
It will be fun. We're going to have 4 or 5 different people on there, and we'll be thinking up different, I guess, what do we do, June, topics? And
Yes, we will ask them. We'll try to find some really embarrassing questions. And I'm just kidding.
yeah. Where else is it? You
I'll
gotta
talk about the
fun,
sperm
yeah.
bank. I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. No. We won't do that. I promise.
I figured I could be the moderator because that's not all I know.
That would be fun.
Mhm.
Yes.
Definitely, yes.
We will ask some of your favorite paranormal investigators or some of your not so favorite paranormal investigators questions and see how they answer it. And if you have any questions you would like to ask them, please submit it to us. And
Please submit
we
it
can
to us
ask
in
them
advance,
in
and
chat or on the chat. Yeah.
it'll probably be Monday before I get the event up. So and then, hey, live or beforehand, it all works.
Live or dead.
Yeah,
Doesn't
that's
matter.
right.
Our show, you just come on dead too. We don't mind.
Mhm. All right. I guess that'll be it. I hope everybody has a great weekend. Stay healthy, stay safe. Um,
Please stay safe and healthy.
Yep. Yep. And well, I guess we'll sign off.
Yes. If this move doesn't kill me, I'll see you next time. Bye.
Goodbye. Let me see if I can stop this. Bye. Stop.